And we are live. My name is Terry Thompson. I'm the host of Unbreakable Stories. And today is the fifth Monday of the week. Yes, it is Monday. And tonight we are going to be talking about how to improve the quality of your sleep. But before we do, let's turn it on over to Bonnie. Bonnie, how you doing, man?
I am amazing. This has actually been a really good day, and I'm excited to continue our conversation from earlier. It was fire. We had some really great people, like new people, join us and really drop some amazing gems.
I
Yeah,
loved it. I mean, I know Shawana, she was absolutely just bringing the
man.
gold, the diamond, the fire, the smokes, all that stuff. She was truly bringing it here tonight. We had a couple of new friends on today, and it was a couple of guys that I had never heard from before. And oh my goodness, like just to have new friends up on the stage and to listen to what they had to bring, it was phenomenal. Like we got to hear some different perspectives about sleep from a keto perspective, from like a food nutritional perspective, from a rehab perspective. We had a rehab specialist on there today, and the guy that was talking, like he was a rehab doctor, and just to kind of hear his perspective on all the different things of sleep and how stretching works, and and all, I loved it. It was a great conversation today.
Yeah, that's a guy that really needs to have, well, I'm going to say this, but like he really needs to have a YouTube channel. And
Yeah.
I say that because if he doesn't already, I say that because I've done enough research at this point with a lot of different like body parts and muscle groups and body brain connection and whatnot that I understood a lot of it. And you probably is the same for you. There's a lot of terminology he was using, but he was it's that kind of stuff, especially when you're describing muscle groups and technical names of people who've never heard them before. It's really great to have a visual
Yeah.
with that. And he was talking about like extension and stretch and all of these different manipulation and like all these different moves. And I'm like, okay, I know what all these mean. That's why I ended up making a disclaimer. Then I'm like, God, somebody's gonna get like a softball, be like, oh, this is good enough, and like try to roll it across your neck and be like, I can't move, and I'm like, we're gonna be in big trouble. So please do your research. Please, these are suggestions and stuff that works for us, and that goes for this show as
So
well.
why do my shoulder blades hurt? Well, because I was using a marble. Sorry about that.
Like, yeah,
Anyway,
I'm not I'm not playing medical doctor here. Not here, not on TV, not in real
yeah.
life. So
No, I get that. And that's the thing. You made a great point. You use a lot of this stuff with caution because we're not doctors. But we have tried some things, and as we always tell everybody, you try some things, you take action, you get results. From that results, you get your feedback, and then you can kind of modify, tweak, or change accordingly. That's with everything to include medication, to include therapy, to include stretching and all these different holistic healthcare type things that are available out there. I remember years ago, a lot of this stuff just wasn't available. I mean, it might have been available, but we just either didn't know about it because we don't see it on social media, or it was just such a localized type of a thing that, because I lived in Buck Tussle, like Oklahoma or something like that, which I grew up in Oklahoma. So we didn't have things like that. My little town that I grew up in. So I grew up in a couple of really small towns. I mean, the smallest town that I lived in actually wasn't even a town, it was a village, and it had less than 500 people in it. So I grew up in some really small places. We just didn't have anything. We didn't have any of this stuff that was readily available out there today. And even to this day, I go back to those places and I'm like, oh my God, dude, I just stepped back in time. And because I've been exposed to a lot of different things over the last 30 years since I left some of these places. And then I go back and realize, man, that place just hasn't changed at all. But that's another story. Tonight we're going to talk about how to improve the quality of your sleep, because I know Bonnie and I, we both have struggled with sleep. We both have struggled with sleep to the point to where, we've tried a lot of different things. Some things work, some things don't work. Some things we're still working on. And it's one of those things to where I think it's a constant journey of discovery. And even though try to put the best measures forward each and every single day, I still struggle. Like, I'll give you an example. The last week, I've struggled immensely for the last week with sleep. I've gotten a horrible sleep for the last week. And it could be a lot of different things. It could be stress. It could be things on my head, on my mind, projects that I'm working on, deadlines I'm trying to meet, business opportunities, friends, family, all the above, can wreak havoc on your sleep. So here's what I want to do. I want to kind of turn it over to Bonnie and get your initial thoughts on sleep, some of the things you've struggled with on sleep, and what are your recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely. So in an effort to not just have a complete repeat of what we talked about this morning, I'm going to refer people back to, the link on Clubhouse. I'm not sure where else we're sharing that. Hey, Peter. I love his animations, by the way. He does such an amazing job with his animations. I haven't gotten to reach out to him. That's a little side note. In an effort not to repeat some of the stuff we've already talked about, yes, I've tried lots of different things. My quest for better sleep actually started probably in my early 20s. And I'm going to dip here for a second, but I'll really stay for a second. When my dad passed away, I was 25, 24, 25, somewhere in there. And I started having horrible nightmares. So honestly, the first thing that I did, I was already seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist at the time, struggling with a lot of grief. And I went the medication route. It was so bad that I wasn't getting any sleep. And when I was getting, a couple of hours of sleep, I was being like violently, shaken awake by various different things. And so I started taking medication. Now I'm not medication shaming. I'm not going to have a debate about this, but what that did for me personally, yes, it did allow me to sleep. Yes, it helped me. In fact, it knocked me the F out. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. I take that 20 minutes later, I was like drooling on myself. This is how it worked. But what also happened, unfortunately, because of that was anytime things started to get kind of out of order in one way, shape, or form, I was reaching for some other kind of medicine, or I was talking to my doctor about this isn't working anymore. And I wasn't learning how to approach sleep. We see Terry trying to hold a yawn in over here. How to approach sleep from a holistic way. Sorry, I'm boring you to sleep here. This is the answer. It's
I
on
didn't have my nap
YouTube.
today, so I am a little
It
tired
puts
tonight.
you to sleep, and then you're good. No, I'm just kidding. So I wasn't learning about holistic ways to help me fall asleep. I was purely relying on, prescription drugs. It wasn't until, honestly, I said goodbye to my psychiatrist in 2017, and fast forward, and I was still having some difficulty sleeping for different reasons, same reasons. And a conversation with David Meltzer, who's a dear mentor and friend of ours. And he told me that none of the goals I wanted to accomplish were going to be possible if I didn't take care of my health. Okay. And it was a great slap in the face. And the first thing we addressed was sleep. And he was the one that taught me about setting my thermostat below 70 degrees. He actually, and I'm going to pull this part of why I brought this up here, comfy pillow here. This pillow is from a company called One Fresh Pillow. They've changed a little bit because of supply issues, but David actually gifted me one of these because I was having horrible chronic neck pain that I had been having since, over 20 years ago. Within a week, my neck pain was gone. Like, I was not waking up with a stiff neck anymore because of the way this is constructed. So I'm going to start off by talking about having a comfortable, relaxing sleep space. And there's like blackout curtains, eye masks, having a comfortable pillow that supports your neck depending on how you sleep, having a comfortable bed to sleep in. And then adding into that, we talked a little bit about a winding down routine, but for me, honestly, my sleep starts the morning before. I get pause there, and hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, 100%. Especially the curtains. And that's one of the things that I don't do, because in my bedroom we have blinds. So we have the wooden blinds and the little stick, and then we can basically open or close the wooden blinds. Well, there's always light that gets in. And at
Mhm.
night, we get the moonlight, we get, the lights from outside, because every house has a lamppost in front of it. So we get these different lights, emitting lights. And then in the morning, the sun sets right in front of my house every morning, and I get this just blaring sunlight right into my bedroom every single morning. I love it. But I can always tell when there's a great sunrise. I love sunrises. So I'll get up in the morning and I will go out on my front porch and I'll watch beautiful sunrises. I've shared them on my Instagram from time to time when I see a good one. And it's one of those things that I kind of wake up, and it's not like Coming to America, Eddie Murphy. Oh, wake up, sleepyhead. It's nothing like that. It's like, oh God, there's a freaking light coming in my room and I don't want to get up, kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things so here's what I want to touch on with that. It's your environment. Your environment,
Mhm.
when you improve your environment, you can improve your sleep. But how do you improve your environment? Like Bonnie, you already mentioned one thing. You mentioned the dark curtains. Make sure that you get those curtains. Another thing that I love to improve my sleep is aromatherapy. We've got these little machines and these little plugins and all these different things in our upstairs master bedroom. It smells like an aromatherapy, like cafe, when you walk into our bedroom. I love it. So we got
Mhm.
this aromatherapy, I don't know, machine that we put the
Yeah,
oil in.
diffuser.
Well, it's oil. So we
But it's
put the
called
oil.
it's called a
It's
diffuser.
called
Do
a
you put water
diffuser.
in there too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a diffuser.
That's a diffuser. Okay, so we
Mhm.
got this diffuser, and then we got these plug-in things that we plug into each of the outlets in the bathroom. So when we walk in the master bathroom, there it is. Like it smells nice in there. You walk into the
Mhm.
master bedroom, it smells nice. Like even down here in my office, I've got two things plugged in over here. I've got my diffuser going right there. I've got wax going right there. So like it's nice. It's scentsy down here, and every single room in our house has something plugged in. So environment matters. What does your environment look like? If your environment sucks and it's cluttered and you got air and noise and all kinds of other things happening within your environment, you're not going to get a really good night's sleep. Anything else to elaborate on environment?
I think those are all really great tips. There's some others that I've used, and I know that this is for mostly adults here, but one key thing is that, how do I phrase this? Your bedroom should only be used for sleep and like one other limited activity. That's it, because you want your brain. It's like a Brendan Bouchard talked about this one time, how he trains his brain and trying just to explain this. When every time he walks through a doorway, he says, "Bring the joy." Okay,
Mhm.
and so that's kind of it's a signal, right? You want your brain when you walk into your bedroom to signal, okay, it's time for sleep. It's time for relaxation. So it's okay to like read a book for a limited period of time before you go to sleep. But you really shouldn't be using. And I made this mistake last year, but I was kind of one of those things where I kind of had to make do with the space that I had, because I was doing interviews in my bedroom. I had my computer set up and a sheet set up and all this other stuff. But that was stimulating, and you want a sense of relaxation and your brain to know, when I walk into this room, I am winding down and I'm getting ready for sleep.
Mhm.
Because the last thing you want to be doing, and I know that you've struggled with this, I've struggled with this, is being in bed and tossing and turning, whether it's due to pain or because our thoughts are racing, et cetera, et cetera. And so dedicating that space to something very specific helps cut down on some of that.
And that brings me to two really important topics right there, and that's habits: daytime habits and nighttime bedtime habits. So I truly believe with better habits throughout the day and before you get ready to go to bed is really important. So throughout the day, my number one tip for throughout the day is to set a specific time in which you're going to go to bed. Like, not that you're just thinking about it all day long, like today I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock and that's it. I don't want you to like think about it, but I want you to every single day get in like a routine. Like, okay, we know in our house that at 9 o'clock it's wind down time. By 10 o'clock, we are all asleep. We are all in bed asleep. I think a lot of times Well, it's shifted. I used to be the last one to go to bed. Now my wife's the last one to go to bed. So because she's staying up doing schoolwork and doing a lot of different things. So now I'm the one that goes to bed early. And believe
Yeah.
me, I'm in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock at like the absolute latest. Even on like a Friday or a Saturday when I know that I don't have to really get up and do anything, I'm going to bed early. It's a part of my habit. It's a part of my routine. Now tomorrow's a different day because we got soccer games all day today, tomorrow, so I got to get up early and go to a soccer game tomorrow morning. But I think setting an intention of like when you're going to go to bed is really important. And then the other thing is taking naps throughout the day. So for me, I notice the difference when I take a nap during the day and when I don't take a nap during the day because that's either gives me more energy or less energy. Today, I didn't have a nap today, so I'm probably going to get some really good sleep tonight because I didn't take a nap today. But those days that I do take naps, I tend to struggle a little bit, but there's a but there. But I also believe in taking naps during the day, especially if I've got brain fog, I'm having trouble thinking, I've got some different things that I'm trying to regain my thoughts, my energy. It's like, okay, I'm going to take a 20-minute nap or 30-minute nap, reset, recuperate, and then I'm going to get up and get right back after it. Another thing that I used to do during the day, and I think this is important as well too, is making sure that you're tired when you go to bed, working out throughout the day, working throughout the day, doing things that are physical that by the end of the day, you're tired. You're ready to go to sleep. You've put in a full day's worth of work and damn it, it's time to go to bed because you've put in your dues. What are your additional thoughts about daytime habits?
Oh wow, we could have a whole show on that. But like I said, um, I do believe that, you know, our bedtime routine really does start in the morning. And it is about your daily habits, like you stated. And I'm in the same kind of boat with the waking up and going to sleep. I am, if I let my body, like my brain, kind of do what it wanted, as far as when I went to sleep, I would stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I would sleep in. If I wasn't, and I say sleep in, but I mean I'd sleep till like 10, 11 o'clock. My body needs somewhere between 8 and 10 hours of sleep, depending on the time of year, depending on hormones, depending on all of these other different factors that you mentioned. If my arthritis is kicking my butt, and inflammation is flaring, I need extra sleep. Like my body isn't recovering; it's literally fighting itself, so it's not recovering like it's supposed to. And yes, you're absolutely correct about the level of activity. Though something I learned recently in the past couple of months is that our brains actually use 25% of the energy slash calories that our body uses in a day, which was pretty mind blowing to me, but makes a lot of sense why we get some people who are doing mentally taxing jobs, especially like accountants during tax season. Besides the stress of that, your brain is like an overdrive. Um, I remember tax season used to be like I would come home and I'd just be wiped and want to sleep super late. Uh, the way you plan what you eat. So I'm still working on this thing with caffeine. As I've mentioned, I don't know how many times I quit smoking in April. Caffeine is like my last vice, coffee. Um, and my body still seems to have this thing where it doesn't care if I'm drinking coffee at 9 o'clock at night. I'm still going to sleep.
Mhm.
But I know that that's not a habit that I want to keep forever. And most people are not, I'm going to say, that maladapted to caffeine where they're still able to fall asleep after drinking it. And so it's advised by most medical professionals, et cetera, not to drink caffeine after it's either noon or like 2 p.m., like depending on your own schedule.
Mhm.
And yeah, like if workouts hype you up, don't do your workout before bed. Do it in the morning. Um, I would say, as far as having a plan to go to sleep at a specific time, I keep a window. It's kind of like, I know I really can't go to bed before my boys go to bed, but I also don't want to be up past a certain time. I do trainings several days a week that start at like 9 o'clock at night. And so I'm doing like the teeth brushing, the face washing, the showering, all of that stuff so that as soon as my training's over, I can get into bed. If that makes sense. We're Terry saved me. Usually I'm the one that disappears during the broadcast. I hope everything is okay. Um, I'm trying to think of some other things. Nutrition has a lot to do with it. I'm not going to get into a debate about nutrition, but what you're eating, what you're putting into your body has a lot to do with how you're sleeping. Sleep's supposed to be a restorative process. So if you're loading up on stimulants and tons of sugar and all these other things that your body has to process, especially before bed, your sleep is just, it's going to suck. And I know that's not a technical term, but that's exactly what ends up happening. As a habit, I don't allow my kids to eat with, let's not edit that there. I don't allow my kids to eat within 2 hours of going to bed, because eating right before bed also disrupts your sleep patterns and your restorative sleep. So hopefully that was helpful, kind of going from
Yeah.
beginning to end.
Yeah, 100%. So bedtime habits are important, and a lot of that, it goes into your bedtime habits. Like, don't drink alcohol, don't eat a big meal, don't lie in bed thinking about, like, tomorrow, and worrying about all these different things. You can have high stress and anxiety. And I used to do that. I used to lay in bed, like sitting there thinking about, like, God, man, what did I do today, man? All this and tomorrow, and I don't want to go to work tomorrow. This sucks. That sucks. I used to sit there and like just moan and just complain in bed. I would sit there for like 2 hours scrolling through my phone, trying to look at Instagram and all these other different things. And I still, to this day, I still struggle with a lot of that, but I've like gotten a whole lot better at just saying, no, it's time to go to bed. You clearly identify your intention. Like when you talk about when you walk into the room, bring the joy. It's like you walk into the room, bring the sleep. Let's
Yep.
get after it. Like you get in there and it's like, bring the sleep. It's time to go to bed. Like it's not time to play, watch freaking videos, watch this, do that, look at a movie. It's not time to do that. And when you go into the bed, like you say, it's like, what's the activity? Well, you're either going to go to sleep or there's other limited activities that you do within, the bedroom. So it's one of those things to where when you clearly set your intention of it's bedtime, it's time to go to bed. You
Yeah.
tell yourself that mentally first, and then physically, hopefully the rest will follow. And here's kind of a neat one, and this is really kind of an interesting recommendation right here, and it's one of those things that I think truly helps you get it off your chest, and that's what I like to call an after action review. So before I go to bed, and it's a part of my bottom line upfront planning method, and that's at the end of the day, I conduct what's called an after action review. What I usually do is about an hour before I get ready to go to bed, I will have that after action review. That way I've written down things. I've clearly like got things off my chest, off my mind. I've evaluated my day. That's a part of my wind down routine. So a part of my wind down routine, getting ready to go to bed, that's a part of that habit. That's writing things down, thinking about how the day was, what went right, what possibly needs improvement. Do I need to add some things back over here to my bottom line up front for future action? And then I'll sit here and I'll kind of analyze the day a little bit. But that's not like as I'm laying in bed. That's about an hour before I go to bed. Then I have this little routine where it's like, okay, I turn off lights. I start dimming the lights. I start, because right now these are bright lights that I have in here. I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 lights going right in here. And then, of course, the lights from my screens and this, that, and the other. So that's a lot of light. Once I get ready to go to bed, I start dimming the lights. I start lowering the lights. I'll turn off the lights upstairs. And by the time I get ready to go to bed, literally the only light that's shining is this little light that's in my room, master bedroom. And that's the last light that goes, unless it's my phone, or I'll use my phone light sometimes. I try not to do that, but once again, it's that dimming process of getting your eyes ready for sleep.
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
I mean, those are all really great. I think the important thing to remember is people need to try these different things and give them some time to notice a difference. And it's like experimenting, if you will. And your body it's going to take time. It's not like you could sit here and literally write a list of all the tips that Tara and I gave you. And it's not like it's guaranteed to work on night one, right? Like you need to give your body some time to adjust and go, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. And it is about building habits and building routines. Um, I like what you were talking about, the dimming process. I actually do that myself. And now like I'm kind of thinking through uh, just the way that we do things. That's one of them. We're shutting off one light, then shutting off another light until we're down to basically to a night light. And I don't use my phone at night sometimes I'll use it for a flashlight if I absolutely have to, but um, I use it for my sleep meditations with the sleep mask that we talked about that you ended up ordering, which I think is amazing. There's a lot of like matching sleep mask. I also put like Unbreakable on it. I bet you I could actually.
It'll be here tomorrow. I'm excited about it. I really want to try that thing out.
Yeah, it's really cool, especially if you're a back sleeper or like I sleep on my side, so sometimes it's a little rough on the cartilage of my ears, and I've just learned to like adjust it. But all in all, I actually paid for YouTube Premium specifically so I could listen to my sleep meditation stuff throughout the whole night and not have to A, worry about my phone overheating, or B, having the light being emitted from my screen all night because it flashes. It's not even like it's something steady. It's a video. And so I think those are all really great environmental tips and tricks because I think that's why they talk about like in the winter time, especially like where we're at on the East Coast, as we get into like the winter and it's also cold, all of these signify like basically hibernation, right? So it's like 5:30, you're like, oh, we just had dinner and I'm ready to go to bed. It's like, what is this? Because it's dark outside, it's cold, you know what I mean? And our bodies are like, those are all signs that it's time to go to sleep. So yeah, I think we covered those pretty thoroughly.
Awesome. Well, short show tonight. I just wanted to come on here, and share some tips, some techniques, and some things that really kind of work for me, some things that work for Bonnie. Look, at the end of that, try some things out. What works for you might not necessarily work for somebody else. We talked about your environment. We talked about habits. The one thing that we didn't really talk about was like medications. And I don't really want to dive down that rabbit hole of different medications because different medications work differently for different people. So I definitely don't want to dive down that rabbit hole right there of medications because we're both not doctors. I mean, we could make recommendations. I have things that I take. Bonnie has things that she's taken. They've worked for us, but I definitely don't want to be in the game of, oh, well, Terry made a recommendation. Well, I definitely don't want to be into that right there. So I would say if you do rely on medications and you have certain therapies or whatever the case may be, that's either prescribed, not prescribed, use at your own risk. So, and then take ownership in the fact that you made that choice to put that in your body or, put that in your body. So I'll just kind of leave that at that. All right, real quickly, before we kind of close things down, I just want to make sure that you're aware of how you can share your support. And that's the link that we have up there on the screen. So Bonnie created this absolutely amazing printable right here. And it's the I Am Unbreakable printable. So all we want you to do is go to unbreakablestories.com/share. And you can print this out right here, share it across social media and tag us and use the hashtag MyUnbreakableStory. And we have a friend that just popped in here, so I want to get him up here because he has his printable ready, and I definitely would feel bad if I didn't bring him up here. We have Peter that just joined us here as well too. He's got his printout. Peter, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for having your printout ready. And I think Bonnie just took a screenshot. So I wanted to make sure that I did a screenshot
Yeah, I did.
of us having on here. So she caught me yawning and I caught her doing the screenshot. So
yeah, I was trying to be like it didn't work so well, but sorry.
So there's that right there. So once again, that's at unbreakablestories.com/share. If you want to show your support, just go on over there, print that out. It would mean a lot to us. We've had several amazing friends show their support and print that out. And before we do go, I always like to do kind of like a little bit of a roundtable. Peter, I know you're joining in, but you was with us this morning. What are your final thoughts or what are your recommendations on how to get or how to improve your quality of sleep?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just now, Terry, you mentioned that we don't touch our phone or social media before we sleep. So now from here is the morning time. So I get energy after I wake up, and then to listen to your all sharing, and then give me more energy in the throughout the day. Thank you, Terry. Every day is Monday.
I love it, man. See, if this wasn't the Unbreakable Story Show, I would totally have my Every Day is Monday shirt on, or my Changemaker shirt. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, it's sitting right over there. I could go grab the shirt real quick, but this is the Unbreakable Stories show right here. But I may have to start up a couple of other little shows and go live on a couple of different channels and start wearing the Every Day is Monday shirt. That would be awesome right there. But Bonnie, what are your final thoughts here? We shared a few great tips this morning, shared some good tips here tonight. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, it has a lot to do with just routine. And I wanted to say too, like I definitely feel for those people who work shift work and who are constantly changing. I lived in that space for a while. It was like one night I worked night turn, and then the next week I was working day, and it was like always flip flopping, and can really take a toll on your sleep. I think just overall, um, people need to realize how important the quality of their sleep really is, not just the amount. A lot of people have actually shortened the amount of sleep they need by improving the quality of it. Um, and it's a necessary function, just like eating, breathing, and drinking. Our bodies need sleep to function, to grow, to repair, to, really to live. And so do your research and try some things. And yeah, that's
I love it. Peter, Bonnie, thank you very much, man. Truly phenomenal show here tonight. And I think we was able to share some good advice for people. At the end of the day, just try some things out. What works for one person may work differently for another person. I mentioned working out. If working out gets you excited, try something else. I know for me, when I work out, I get really tired. So I want to make sure that I'm working out at a good time to where I'm kind of burning myself out at the end of the day and making myself tired. So I say all that to really just kind of say this right here. Trying to get to sleep, the struggle is real. Insomnia is real. Sleep apnea is real. All these different things, it's a real problem. It's a real struggle. And I think that a lot of people around the world are really struggling to get good sleep, quality sleep, enough sleep. And it really differs for different people. Like you have people that will get 2 or 3 hours of sleep and they're fine. You'll have people that need 6 or 7 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours of sleep, and that's what they need. Everybody is different. And that's two words, every and body. Every body is different. And what works for one body might not necessarily work the same for a different body. I remember one night when I was getting ready to go on a deployment to Iraq, and I stayed up all night long. I got like maybe 30 minutes of like snuggle time with my wife before I got up and to go to Iraq, on a deployment. The entire day, the next like 3 days, I'm like awake because I'm up. And when I got there, I realized, oh my goodness, I'm the senior person. I'm in charge. Now I got 300 people that I have to take from here to Iraq, and I've only had like 30 minutes of like snuggle time at best, right? And here we are. I'm getting accountability. I'm handing out equipment. I'm doing all these, getting names, getting people to the airfield, getting them on a plane, making sure they have accountability. Anyway, I think it was about 48 hours later is when I finally got to sleep. When I got on the plane, I put my chair back and I was out. I wake up and I got food in front of me. Hours later, right? I wake up and we're in the air and I got food in front of me. I'm like, oh well, thank you. And then I eat and everything. So having said that, not everybody can do all these different things. I guarantee you I could share stories from my military days of like, going on a 9-day exercise. And throughout that 9 days, I got only 7 hours of sleep total throughout the course of 9 days. I stayed awake for 3 days, got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, stayed awake for 4 days and got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. And that was it. And I'm talking about like sub-zero degree temperature over in Germany, licking freaking water bottles because our water got frozen. So that's how I'm getting my water, is licking this ice. And it was just a horrible experience. I mean, I could share all these things with you. I got plenty of stories of sleeping in trees, sleeping in the rain, sleeping in the cabs of truck, sleeping in a hole in the ground. I could literally share stories from my military days that would, make the average person probably cringe on places that I've slept, had things crawling all over me. Who cares? I don't care. I'm asleep. I don't care. So having said all that, keep in mind that a good night's sleep is possible. When you clearly define your intention of how you're going to sleep, where you're going to sleep, when you're going to sleep, and your environment, all these different things play a role in a good night's sleep. So try some things. So hopefully all this was valuable here for you today. My name is Terry Thompson. I am the host of Unbreakable Stories, along with my co-host Bonnie and our good friend Peter, who is also a part of the Unbreakable family. We just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next video. Have a great night.